How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Average Joe, the series where I'll be taking a look at a vehicle and telling you whether or not I believe it's worth the average player's time, or in this case, their money. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at the F-104S TAF, a battle rating 11.0 rank 7 Italian premium fighter jet. Now, I'd like to start off with this plane's good features, meaning we're going to start with its weapons, because overall its weapons on paper sound incredible. Starting off with your primary armament, you're going to be armed with the 20mm Vulcan cannon. Now, the Vulcan has an incredibly high fire rate and is considered by a lot of the community to be one of, if not the best gun in the entire game for air-to-air combat. However, it is not without its flaws, because sometimes you can hit somebody in their wingtip and you will instantly kill them, taking the wing right off. Other times, you can hit somebody directly in the cockpit and do absolutely no damage. But overall, I would agree that it is probably the best gun in the game in most cases. Moving on to your secondary weapons, the F-104 can bring a variety of rockets and bombs. However, I would not recommend bringing these in most of your matches because the fact that, well, it's going to heavily tank your acceleration. In a plane like the F-104, you're kinda gonna need it. For a majority of your matches, I would instead just bring air-to-air missiles, which you have a few different choices for. Either you can bring 6 AIM-9Bs, 6 AIM-9Ps, or 2 AIM-7Es. However, if you bring the AIM-7Es, you can't bring your Vulcan, so I would not recommend bringing these under any circumstance, just bring the AIM-9Ps. Which, speaking of the AIM-9P, I want to just talk about it a little bit. First off, it is a 20G pulling missile, meaning it is fairly decent at close range. However, that's really the only time I'd ever use them as well because these missiles have very poor range. I don't trust them to hit a target that is going away from me that is further away than 1.9 kilometers. Moving on from weapons, I'd like to talk about your flight characteristics. First, I'm going to start with the only good one, that being your roll rate. The roll rate on the F-104 is insane, faster than almost any other plane in the game that I can think of. And it's gonna help you dodge bullets, but not enough really to help you survive most engagements, but it is probably your best feature for your BR whenever it comes down to your actual characteristics. Now that we're done with the good characteristics, I'd like to talk about the moderate and then the bad. First off, the only moderate one in my opinion is your speed. Now, if you've played an F-104 before, you probably know that they're known for their speed. However, at 11.0, they aren't even the fastest aircraft anymore. They're beaten out by quite a few. So this is no longer an advantage, but more so just kind of, yeah, I'm fast, but I'm not fast enough. So does it make up for the fact that you have no other good flight characteristics beside that in your roll rate? Not one bit. The first of your bad characteristics in this plane is going to have to be your turning. Basically because you can't. At any speed below Mach 0.85 and above Mach 1.1, you basically cannot turn anymore. It's not even like you barely turn, no, it's as if your controls compressed on any other plane. You no longer get to turn, which means during head-ons, one of two things are going to happen. Either you're at that beautiful speed and you're going to get to pull away and live another day, or you're above or below it, and you're likely, even if you get the kill, you're likely going to crash into the person's corpse. If not, they're just going to shoot you down and they're going to pull away. I promise that this has never happened to me, not even once. Well, that was kind of weird. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we're going to talk about acceleration, and well, if I had to describe your acceleration, it would be...
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as f*** in my opinion, I mean...
Now, normally at this point, once I've covered all the major things, I would talk about miscellaneous topics on the vehicle. However, there really aren't that many to talk about, and none of them are really interesting enough for me to care. So instead, I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation how I'd recommend playing this thing in down tiers versus up tiers. Let's cover down tiers, because these are going to be actually fun for you. So, in a down tier, you're going to want to do one of two things. Either fly super wide and come back to the fight once it's begun, come behind everyone and use your missiles on people that aren't paying attention, and find people that are out of energy to strafe with the Vulcan. Your other option is if you're confident the enemy team either doesn't have anything with a scary radar, or you're confident in your ability to just not be seen at high altitudes. At this point, you're gonna climb to just below 5.5 kilometers off the ground. At this height, you're gonna go over and you're basically gonna do the exact same thing as the last strategy where you're gonna wait and then you're gonna come up behind them. The difference is now you're gonna drop on them. I promise you, if you try any other thing, you're probably gonna die, or you're just gonna get into head-on after head-on until eventually somebody gets you. Also, in a full down tier, most things will be slower than you, so you can take advantage of your speed so long as you're in a full down tier. Now then, in a full up tier, you need to play position. You need to pay very close attention and let your teammates take on the brunt of the enemy team. You're going for targets of opportunity and no one else. You're no longer the fastest, and Lord knows that everyone else that is just as fast as you now, if not faster, is infinitely more maneuverable and has way better missiles. Just find targets of opportunity, help your team where you can, otherwise avoid most enemies if possible. Now then, what are my overall thoughts on this plane? Well, first off, it's your only option as a rank 7 Italian premium aircraft. So if you want an aircraft that's going to let you grind the entire tech tree, this is your only option. Which is very frustrating because in my opinion this plane is not good. Weirdly enough though, I had a lot of fun playing it. I know that sounds crazy, but there are some very interesting matches I had playing this thing that I can only describe as, wow, how did that work out? This is one of those planes similar to the MiG-21 Laser, which I did a video on as well, where it feels like you're going against overwhelming odds playing it. So anytime that something bad happens, it doesn't really affect you as much, but when something good happens, it feels all the better. Now then, before I say whether or not I believe the vehicle is worth it, which honestly you probably don't need me to tell you anymore, you probably already know based off what I said, I'm going to talk about the price. So, first off, it's a pack premium, so it's going to be $70, but for that $70 you're going to get the vehicle itself, 2,500 Golden Eagles, and 20 days of premium. With that out of the way, do I think it's worth it? Nope, not at all. It is not even a vehicle I'd say that's worth it on sale. It's not a good vehicle, but at the same time, it's kind of your only option to grind the entire tech tree with one vehicle. Instead, if you're willing to grind a little bit of the tech tree naturally, I would just get the G91R4. It's a much better plane for its BR, and it's also a lot cheaper. It's also a lot more fun. Anyway, with that all out of the way, I'd just like to thank you all for watching. Please let me know if there's any vehicles you'd like to see in this series in the future, because yes, even though I've been gone for a while, I do plan on making more of these. I just really needed a break from War Thunder. I had been playing it non-stop making videos. I just really needed a break, but now I'm back. I'm making stuff again. I have 3 other vehicles that I plan on making videos on very soon, as well as potentially finally getting around to that beginner's guide. No promises. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next one. Have a good one.